Okay, everybody, this is what happened overnight. 2 days ago, it was in the 50s. This morning is 15 with a wind chill of 4, and I'm going to try to cook a brisket today, right here in this pit. So I'm going to have to get the snow brushed off of it, and of course I got 40 pounds of charcoal, and it's out there somewhere in one of the cars. So I gotta go out. Looks like we got about 5 inches, maybe 6. So anyway, I gotta go out and get that, get the pit brushed off, and then I'll get in the house and we'll start prepping this brisket. See you soon. Merry Christmas, everybody. It's a whopping 15 degrees outside, and I just walked out to the car and got the charcoal and about 6 inches of snow. I'm gonna do a brisket today. Be back in a minute. I'll get it unwrapped, wash it off, pat it dry. It's gonna be real simple. We're gonna do it Texas style, and we'll be back in just a second when I get that done. Okay, I'm back. Got it out of the package. It's like 14.4 pounds. We're going to do a little bit of trimming on it. I rinsed it off, patted it dry. So here we go. First thing I like to do, see this dark brown spot right here, all the way down the side. And I don't know if it's just the air from where they trim it at the factory getting to it, but it's always there. So there's always a always brown down the side. This one is even up to here, so we're just going to trim a little bit of that off, get down to the good meat. Just a little bit more of it. Okay, next thing I want to do, turn it around so you can see, just a little bit of silver skin. And I'm going to get all that off of there. And the easiest way to do that is to get your hand under it and just run a knife with the grain. Get it to start. And you're going to get a little bit of meat. You're going to try to get the least amount of meat that you can. Basically just shaving it, but you got to get that silver. I mean, you don't have to get the silver skin off, but you can't get your seasonings down into the meat if you leave that silver skin on there. And yeah, it's a little tedious. Sharp knife does help. Said you don't have to do this step. You can skip it if you want. I just think it makes a better finished product. Plus you get to practice your knife skills a little bit. Starting to get most of it now. Over here now. Alright, it's probably about as much of that as I'm going to get off. Like I said, you can skip that step if you want. It's just something I guess I'm a little anal about, is getting that silver skin off. Next thing I want to do, just a little bit more of that brown. Just get that off. A little bit right there too. Sorry, that just looks like butt to me, and I am not cooking that. Okay, right here is can you tell? That's a hard piece of fat. It's never going to do anything. We're going to get some of that off. The fat on the bottom will probably leave most of it because it looks like they've trimmed it pretty close. The processor has. Because ideally you want about a 1/4 inch or so on the bottom, and I'll flip it over and show you in just a second when we get some of this cut off of here. Pretty good. Cook just a little bit more of that silver skin. Get that off. That'll be just about what we're left with. Now we can look at this other side. Just a little bit more right in there. Said you can get as tedious with it as you want. I really think that the more that you get off, the better chew you end up with at the end. And you have more flavor down into the meat this way too. I'm sure everybody out there knows already that this is a flat and this is the point. It's the fatter end of it. See, this is running this way, the grain. This side here, the grain is going to be running this direction. And to tell you the truth, I don't know that I'm going to do a whole lot with this. It's almost cut down to the meat right here. I might trim just a little bit of this side right here off. Get about 1/4 to 1/2 inch of this left. And this is basically just going to protect the meat. We're going to put this in there with the fat side down. Used to cook them with the fat side up. And I think the meat stays juicier and more tender if you put the fat side down, because it'll protect the meat from the heat coming out of the pit. So I think that's just about all we're going to do with it. I don't know, what was that, about 10 minutes of prep, I suppose. And do a bit of ejection on it here in just a second, and put the spices on, and then we'll throw it out in the pit with some smoke to it. Okay, we're back. We're going to season this. Normally I would inject a brisket and do burn ends, but since this is Texas style and they just like to slice them up in Texas, we aren't going to do any injection. We will do a mop, so we're just going to throw our seasonings on. So let's get started with that. And we're going to stay real simple. I have black pepper, some steak seasoning, a little bit of onion powder, and a little bit of garlic powder, and that's all we're going to do. And at the same time, you do not have to season that. That's just there for protection. So the only part we're going to season really is just the meat that you can see. And we want to give them a, I don't know, medium coat, pretty large piece of meat. Now a traditional Texas style brisket would just be salt, pepper, and a little bit of garlic. But I like the onion powder, and I like the taste and the bark it gives you when you use the steak seasoning. So I use the steak seasoning instead of the salt, because the salt's already in the steak seasoning. Get our edges best we can. Now this is like all the other times, this is our restaurant grind black pepper. It's kind of the semi-coarse, a little bit coarser than table. Give it a good medium coat. Get all your sides and edges and everything. I don't know if I mentioned to everybody, it's Christmas today, so Merry Christmas, everybody. This is my Christmas brisket. Probably won't be eating it till midnight. This is our Montreal steak seasoning. Give it a good coat of this. Okay. Now I know they call this a rub. You just press it into the meat. Stay more with an even coat that way. You won't be moving everything around. You might have too much here and nothing here. Just press it into the meat. So I've got 2 chimneys of charcoal out there in the snow starting. And I know at the beginning I said we had 4 to 5. I think we got more like 6. I had to walk out to the car and get to 40 pounds of charcoal. And I wonder how much of that we'll use. When I set the pit up, I'm going to put welding blankets on it, and I brought an extra welding blanket from work. So, like I said, it's only 15 degrees outside, so it's like brrr! And 2 days ago it was in the 50s, so imagine that, Ohio weather. Go figure. This is going to set for a little bit, let the seasonings kind of marinate into the meat, and when it's time to throw it on the pit, we'll come back and see you. Alright, we're out to the pit. I got it set up. I've got 2 chimneys of charcoal over here in the firebox. I've got a water pan on this end of the cooking chamber. I've got a welding blanket on my firebox, and I've got 2 welding blankets on the cooking chamber, and we're holding right at 290 to 295. When I put this big cold hunk of meat down in there, it's going to drop the temp a little bit. I really want to stay 275 to 300. I'm going to put this with the point side facing the fire, which is the fat side. So, kind of accordion it together a little bit. We got hickory wood going on it. And we're going to monitor the temp on it and everything. And probably an hour, hour and a half we'll come back and I'll start mopping it and we'll show you how it looks then. But we want to give it at least an hour to an hour and a half for our seasonings to set on the meat so we aren't washing them off with our mop. So see you here in about an hour, hour and a half. Okay, hour and a half in. Let's look at this. It's running still right at 300. Looking pretty good. I'm just gonna drizzle some of this on there. Just want to keep some moisture in it. The water pan looks like it still has a little bit. That's all we're going to do to it right now. We'll let it go for another hour. Probably have to add some water to the water pan. Also want to let you know that these are high heat welding blankets. These aren't your typical just off the bed type blanket. I don't want anybody to burn their house down. So keep that in mind. Go to Harbor Freight, buy some welding blankets if you live in a cold climate, and you can be out here when it's 18 degrees smoking a brisket too, like a crazy person. Okay, it's been 3.5 hours. I'm opted at an hour and a half. I did it at 2.5. Now it's an hour later, so we're at 3.5. Had to fill the charcoal again just a little bit after 3 hours. I usually get 3 hours and 45 minutes, but like I said, it's like 18 degrees out here. So let's see what it looks like. Oh, it's looking yummy. You gotta watch that smoke, it'll burn your eyes. And we're just gonna mop some on here. Just trying to keep the meat moist. I also filled the water pan at 2.5 hours. Had to add some water to it. So that's just something you want to check when you're in here every time. So probably give that another, I don't know, half hour, 45 minutes or something, and then we're going to take it in the house and we're going to put it in a pan, cover it up, and bring it back out. So we'll see you then. Okay, it's been 4.5 hours. I just brought this thing in off the pit. I'm going to look at it here. Just check the temp on it. Check it up here in the flat. 151. Check it down here in the point. 151. We're doing good. So all we're going to do with it now, see we're getting a nice bark. We're going to take, this is our mop, which actually all this is some beef au jus, 3 cups of water, a little Worcestershire, some Tabasco, some garlic powder. That's pretty much all there was in it. Maybe some onion powder and a little bit of salt. So just want to put something on it that tastes good. So we're just going to cover this up with some foil. I'm going to throw it back out on the pit. Now at this point, you don't have to use smoke on it anymore because it's going to be covered up with this foil. So we're just basically finishing it off. So I'll do that, throw it back on, and when I bring it back in the house when it gets about 200 degrees, I'll come back and visit you again. Alright, we're 10.5 hours in, and got like about a 196. You can kind of tell by how easy it goes in. That's mid 196. I'm going to the point here. I mean, it's like butter. So now, the hard part. We have to cover this back up and let it rest. It has to rest. So, I guess when it gets done resting, we'll come back. What do we have here? We got brisket. Looks like a little stirred. It's jiggly. Looks to be dry on top. I suppose you're recording all this.
Well, y'all.
Oh,
Sorry.
it's all right. Okay, here's our brisket. Our green's running this way. This is our flat. We're gonna take it, cut that flat right off of there. Maybe. This is our point. So on the flat, you want to cut across the grain, and the grain's running this way. So we're gonna take our slices here, right out of the middle. Looks like it's got a pretty good smoke ring. Pull a piece out and show you. Can you see that smoke ring? That's a beautiful thing right there. That is awesome. Let's see. It's got a it's hot. My gosh, it's hot. Let's see if we can cut one here. That one's a little thick. Just a little thinner. Tastes incredible. Really good. See, it's got that little bit of pop. You pull it and the pop. Now this right here is called a grease separator. I took the drippings, the au jus out of the brisket pan, and I pour it in here, and you can see the. Can you see the grease?
Yeah.
So it pours out of the bottom. Looks like it's about to run off. That'd be a mess. All right. There's our brisket. Really good, really juicy. Real flavorful. Didn't inject it. It was 19 degrees today. And snow on the ground. You saw the snow. Really good. It just took about 12 and a half hours. So, hey, till next time, eat it! Right? Okay, this pile over here is our point, and this is our flat. I guess when I was cutting it before, we never messed with the point. This is the most tender meat. You can see it is tender. And I mean, it's just falling apart. It's just awesome, man. I mean, it's tender. You talk about making a sandwich. Put a little barbecue sauce on that. I mean, you got a good tug on the flat on the slice. This is really good. This is awesome. 19 degrees today.